So, Fallout Episode 2. Well, if you saw my review of Episode 1, you might remember that I said I hope this wasn't going to fall off a cliff in terms of quality like The Last of Us. Well, sadly, that's exactly what happened. I gave the first episode a hopeful 7.5 out of 10 and made allowances for world building and time to introduce the characters, and overall it didn't do a bad job at all. The world looked great. So now we come to episode 2. There will be spoilers. This was a massive drop in quality overall. The only thing remaining at a high level were the sets and landscapes. Anyway, onto the story, and man what a mess this was. Lots of stuff happened in the 66 minutes, but somehow felt longer and incredibly disjointed. Also, the style was all over the place. I had plenty of humour, almost all of which fell completely flat. Plenty of action which somehow seemed pointless. And I guess we moved the main Find Your Father plotline along. We started with a rather strange scene of a random man, a scientist breeding and training dogs, and then escaping from somewhere for some reason, and before he left he embedded a glowing blue MacGuffin in his head. We catch up with Lucy after that in the wasteland, looking up some cool post-apocalyptic ruins. She sees a family taking their final meals together on a large dose of poison. Lovely. She then makes a fire, goes to sleep, and is awoken by the scientist dude. At this point I recognised he was Ben Linus from Lost. Anyway, he then says some very Westworld style waffle about how she'll never make it. It sounds all very profound, but it doesn't really say anything at all. We then revisit Maximus, our new squire of the Brotherhood. Off on his first mission with his arsehole boss in armour. For some reason he wanted him to clean his crotch plate and then jump out of the flying transport because he was bored. Maximus told him they were meant to be tracking down some guy, which he then ignored. They jumped down the rope together, Maximus banging his nose again. Since that's the third time he's hit his nose, I guess that's going to be an ongoing joke. He hits his nose a lot. Haha. Back to the scientist dude, walking somewhere with his dog. He sits down to eat a can of Spam. Yummy. Then his dog senses some danger from the cave. And we're back to the arsehole in the armour, who sends his squire into the cave for some reason. A mutated bear attacks and arsehole armour guy is injured. He asks Maximus to heal him with a stim pack, which you might remember from the game if you played them. He repeatedly tells him how it's all his fault and squires get killed for failing, they get strung up upside down, etc, etc, which is obviously completely idiotic if you need someone to save your life. He could have at least waited till after being healed before threatening the dude. Scene ends. We're back to Lucy again for a pointless scene in the wasteland with a mad old guy. Lucy stupidly gives him all her water. She gets directions to a dangerous place. She shouldn't go, obviously, so that's where she goes. Maximus is now in the armour, so presumably he let the arsehole boss bleed to death, which is kind of fair enough. He's throwing rocks around with a power armour, and he learns how to fly it like an Iron Man suit. We're then back to Lucy again. It went as a random settlement that's made out of aeroplanes and buses and random bits of junk. It was kind of cool. She gets a lecture about white privilege from a really annoying old woman. And then the ghoul, the guy with no nose, decides to start shooting up the whole town. The 1950s music cuts in again, and we see lots of people getting shot. And Lucy decides to read a book in the shop for some reason, I guess to find some information about her dad. And just as she's about to get shot, Maximus appears in his power armour. They fight some more. Lucy reads the book some more. That was just a jumble of mess, to be honest, so let's just skip past the rest of that. At some point during the fight, the scientist dude gets shot in the foot. In fact, his entire foot is shot off. And the annoying old woman is also shot in the leg. For some reason that didn't seem to hurt her at all, because she then fits a crappy metal version of the foot to the scientist dude, which doesn't seem to fit too well since he's bleeding everywhere. Maximus gets into more of a fight with the no-nose guy, the ghoul. There's a Acme Roadrunner style fight with a hook and him getting flung across the sky. He ends up in some random little shack or something with some guy going to the toilet. And we end with Lucy and the scientist going out across the desert where he decides to kill himself because he can't walk any further, but first gives her a chainsaw to cut off his head so she can take the blue MacGuffin to the evil villain woman who has her dad. W, T, and F. I skipped a few pointless scenes in there because there were a lot of pointless scenes. There were also some points in this episode where I was really bored. The person I was watching it with literally fell asleep. Somehow, it moved stuff along, but it was also dumb and cartoonish. It was hard to care about any of it. Well, let's hope this was a blip, and episode 3 will be better. The best I can do is give this a 3.5 out of 10. Such a shame after a promising start. Anyway, that's enough from me. Like the video if you like the video. Leave a comment below, and subscribe for more videos. Thank you.